Welcome to the Taking the Lead podcast, where we empower people to be unstoppable. I'm Christina Hepner with my co-hosts Leslie Hoskins and Timothy Cuneo. It's already July, which is wild.
It went by fast.
I know.
Summer's flying by.
It is. And it was just 4th of July weekend / my birthday weekend.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
Just a little bit ago.
How was it? What'd you do?
I went to Buffalo, New York to see we stayed with my sister, brother-in-law, and my niece. And we saw the Savannah Bananas, if you know who they are.
Yeah. Was it so fun?
So fun.
Timothy, do you know? Well, yeah. Timothy, you have to know who the Savannah Bananas are, right?
My wife was talking about them a couple of weeks ago. I checked it out on YouTube. So, yeah, it's a baseball team like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, they don't actually, really play baseball. It's, more entertainment. Like the Harlem Globetrotters.
It's like my kind of sporting activity to watch, right?
Yeah, because
it's entertaining.
They wear costumes.
They wear costumes.
You might like the colors of their costumes.
And they sing, and they have, a social media.
Yeah.
I saw an interview one time with somebody from it, and they were talking about, they did all this research on, the length of that you can keep people's attention at a game and all this different stuff. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, leading up to it, we watched a lot of their videos and stuff and all the things that they do. So it really hyped us up for it.
Not to spend too much time on this, but I wonder when you try out for the team if you have to be good at baseball and also, social media dancing and singing.
Yeah, probably.
I would think.
I'll just stick with the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, there you go.
Keep it simple.
Timothy, how has the weather been in Georgia?
Oh, July. So you know what that means. It's hotter than a firecracker. So,
hotter than a firecracker.
It's rough in the summertime with glacier and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We just try to keep her out of the heat. Don't work her unless I have to, unless I got to go somewhere. If we do anything either late at night or early in the morning.
Yeah, that's got to be challenging.
Because she's got that dark coat, too.
Yeah, she soaks up that sun. Trust me, she really does. So it's rough on her in the summertime down here, but she does a good job. She's always faithful, and as long as she gets her treats, she's good.
Do you ever have to put the little booties on her?
If it's mid-afternoon, I always test the concrete with my hand. And I guess it's a 10-second rule. If it burns you within 10 seconds, the little rubber booties goes on her.
Yeah.
And, so we got to go to Chicago in August, so those definitely are going to Chicago, and because it'll be hot. So, that's how you test it, and you just try to not burn their little paws.
Yeah, absolutely. Does she walk kind of fun? Does it take her a minute when she puts them on?
She hates it. When she puts those boots on, she flops, and you can hear her flopping, and they match their purple, so they match her black coat, and everybody says how cute they are.
Yeah.
But she just does not like them at all.
Aw. It is, I know. I feel bad for them, but it's so cute when they first put them on and they're trying to figure it all out. Yeah. I'm it doesn't work.
Like a dog looks like with a cone of shame around her.
Yeah.
It's like the shame of these little boots. I hate them. So that's where she walks.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. Well, hopefully you guys continue to stay cool during the rest of the summer. And Chicago will be fun in August. It's a fun little summer getaway. Anything fun?
I'm going up there for Leader Dog. I'm doing the Freeport Dog and Pony car show up there for the weekend.
That sounds like an interesting weekend.
Yeah, this Lions Club is a top dog club.
Nice.
They give $10,000 a year out of this car show, and they asked if I would come up and to be there for the event, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So if you're in Freeport area, come and see me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that, Timothy.
That's fantastic. Well, I hope it's wonderful, as I'm sure it will be, and let us know if we can help with anything. But thank you.
No problem. I enjoy doing it.
All right. Well, today's guest is finally in studio with us. She is a mentor of both Christina and I, and someone we've referred to in a few previous episodes, but we're very excited to finally get her here to the recording studio.
Yes, Dani Landolt joined Leader Dogs for the Blind in August of 2014 and held roles as campaign manager, director of corporate relations, chief marketing officer, and now Leader Dog's first ever chief impact officer. In her time with Leader Dog, Dani has developed a corporate sponsorship program, launched 3 new fundraising events, and developed the current Leader Dog logo, brand standards, and brand story. She oversaw corporate and third-party fundraising, volunteer engagement, outreach, and all marketing and communication functions for the organization. And today we're going to learn about her new role as Chief Impact Officer.
Dani, we're excited you're at the podcast today. Congratulations on your new role. So tell us what an impact officer is.
Well, thank you, Timothy. And first, I have to start by saying thank you for inviting me here today. I have to be certain that I am the very first fan of taking the lead. So I continue to be your biggest fan, but I can say confidently that I was the very first fan of
first
the
listener,
show.
for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, Dani, you were the one who told me I'd be doing this podcast. So
Welcomed you into Leader Dog and then immediately let you know you'd be starting a new podcast. And look at how far we've come.
Very true. Very true.
So thank you guys so much for having me. It's a pleasure listening to you guys every other week, and happy to finally be joining you. And so, gosh, what is a Chief Impact Officer? I think that's a journey we're all taking together. But certainly in my new role, I continue to oversee outreach and volunteer engagement for the organization, but now also have the real privilege to oversee our guide dog services, our client services, our canine center, which definitely includes our off-campus volunteers, puppy raising, and breeding host homes. So a large area, but one I'm really excited to be a part of with all of the areas of the organization we get to touch.
And we should mention, when this was announced at an all-team meeting, that everybody was pumped, right? Like all of the people in training and dog care and everybody was so excited to welcome Dani, which I think shows a lot.
But at first, the way it was announced was that the chief marketing officer was no longer going to be a position, and mouse dropped because I thought Dani was leaving.
Yeah, that was a fun little.
It was a fun little surprise at the end.
I did get a text message during that meeting that said my heart had just stopped when they announced the chief marketing officer position had been eliminated. But that is because we made the decision to combine that with the chief philanthropy officer. So that's now the chief philanthropy and marketing officer role.
Yes, which is very exciting as well. But it definitely, everybody was kind of like holding their breath. But Dani was standing in the corner. So we're like, well, this is kind of weird. She's still here. Has anybody told her yet that this is happening?
That's not a good way to get rid of somebody.
But then the good news of being the new Chief Impact Officer. So what are some things that you kind of mentioned what you're overseeing, but what are you looking forward to in this role? What are you going to take on?
Yeah, so there's a lot that we have plans to do, but what I'm most looking forward to and what I've been spending my first few months in this role doing is really getting to out and speaking to and spending time with all of the areas that I oversee. That's spending time out with puppy counselors and puppy raisers. It's shadowing the team and working shifts in the canine center, following our clients out when they're here for guide dog training, just really spending time listening. As you know, Melissa Weiss's view has been making sure that we're putting the client voice at the center of everything that we do. And so the best way we can do that is by engaging in conversations with our clients. And so I've really spent these first few months listening and absorbing so that I can have the best information available to help support the organization in the best way we can as we move forward.
Absolutely. And so this is a different side of the organization that you're used to being on. So what are some things that are exciting to you that you've learned so far?
What I am certain of is that Leader Dog has the very best people. And I mean that across the board. We have the best clients. We have the best team members. We have the very best volunteers. There is nobody more passionate, no community more caring, no community more dedicated to the mission than everybody involved in our organization. And that's really important, especially when you bring in the dogs into what we do, because we have a real obligation to every dog that's part of Leader Dog, because we bring them into this world, and they're our responsibility from the moment, even before they're born, all the way through retirement. And what I feel confident in is that because of this community, because of the dedication and passion of everybody involved in Leader Dog, that we are about to reach new heights, and really the sky's the limit for Leader Dog. And that's what I'm so excited about in this new role. I already knew it, but getting to see it has really confirmed that for me. And it's a privilege.
Absolutely.
So what areas are you really focused on right now for the future?
Yeah, Timothy. So, right, it would be easy to come in and be overwhelmed and try to do everything, right? And that's what we talked to the team about as well. And so we're really focusing, I'll use the words ruthless prioritization. It's a real focus of mine and the leadership team, which is being focused to make sure that we're tackling challenges in the order that we need to. If we try to do everything all at once, then you do a lot of things sort of well. But if we can concentrate on a few things and do those very well, it will set us up so we can tackle the next challenges. So for us, I'm going to list it in 3 top areas of ruthless prioritization. It's removing barriers for our clients, it's our breeding program, and it's team member retention with a focus on our guide dog mobility instructors.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that we've talked about quite a bit over the years, and we're still trying to share with others, is a couple of the ways that we are different from other organizations or agencies, or the ways in which we remove barriers. Do you mind kind of sharing those?
No, absolutely. I think it's very important. And we know that there are so many barriers that our clients face in obtaining services. And so the easier that we can make that, the more important that is. We want to be available to everyone. And some of the ways we do that is we don't require a vocational goal, meaning if somebody's not looking to get into the workforce or rejoin the workforce, that's not a problem for us. We're still willing to serve you. We have no limit on the number of service hours that somebody can receive for us. We like to talk about this with our orientation and mobility program. Somebody comes for that first week of training, and perhaps they're just getting the basics down and just learning how to start navigating with their cane. We want them to know that they're welcome to come back for a second week and beyond, so that we can continue to work on developing those skills. We don't have an upper age limit. For as long as somebody's able and willing to work safely with both their dog and or their cane, we're going to be here to provide that service because we know that independence is important to all of us for all of our lives. And of course, we don't require a formal referral. We'll take a referral from anybody, but it's certainly not a requirement. So people find us, whether it be through the website or social media, or from hearing about us from another professional or in the service industry. We want to bring everybody in that we can. And one other item I'll sort of add on to this, Leslie, is just also our focus on our clients who are on our wait list. We also will have plans in the coming year for that, because that's something that's maybe a little bit new coming out of the pandemic. And so that becomes a barrier as well, wait times for services. And that's something that we'll be tackling in the upcoming year as well.
Yeah. And Timothy, I know that you've talked a bit about, in the very beginning of the podcast, your experience finding service and stuff. Would you mind sharing a bit about how you found Leader Dog and what it was like for you to find services?
Well, in Georgia, it was very difficult. When I was like 48 years old, I reached out to my voc rehab, and the first thing I was told was I was too old and that they couldn't help me at all. And that was devastating, because I was reaching out trying to find some help. And if it hadn't been for Leader Dog, the situation would have got much worse. It was very disheartening that I couldn't get, they wanted to charge me $200 a visit for an hour once a month. And that's unaffordable. So when you get told that, it's a barrier. And I thank God that I found Leader Dog when I did. That way I can get the O&M and Glacier. And Leader Dog's always got my back, and they're always there for me. And I've seen some of these, when I visited Leader Dog, somebody was not getting the O&M, and they were going to come back for another week. And that was amazing that Leader Dog gives you the time, and you go at your pace until you feel comfortable. And I was glad to hear Dani saying that. And I'm glad that Leader Dog does that, because sometimes it takes a little bit longer for people to figure this stuff out. It's not easy. It's not at all.
Yeah, it's really challenging. And unfortunately, we hear that from clients time and time again, that was their experience reaching out seeking services, whether they didn't qualify or they couldn't afford those services. So we are really fortunate and so happy and thankful for our volunteers and donors who really do make this possible to provide all of these services completely free, including that transportation to us in Michigan. Or again, sometimes we do offer that in-home option as well. And part of this too, right? I know we've talked about it a lot and we're not going to dive too far into it, is that unmet needs survey. And so when Dani's talking about removing barriers, these are the ones that we're really focused on right now, but we're hoping to learn a lot. That survey just kind of wrapped up. So results should be coming out soon of what that says, where people, need services, what are the gaps in the field. And hopefully we can do more. We want to do more. Right now we're really focusing on mobility, and we know that's one piece of the rehab journey. So I'm really looking forward to see where we go with that and what happens. But I do want to go back to, Dani, you mentioned that wait list. And can you explain a little bit exactly what is the wait list and why it kind of has happened?
Sure. So for us, the wait list is for those clients who have applied for our services and been accepted into either our guide dog or orientation and mobility program. Of course, I'll focus on guide dog because that's where we see our wait list expanding, which currently sits, I'd say generally we say about 1 year. That looks different for every individual based on our ability to find the right dog and the right match. But what it speaks to is what I had mentioned as sort of my second priority, or our second priority as an organization, which is breeding. So globally, there really is a guide dog shortage. And a part of that is due to the results of the pandemic. Of course, as everybody was sheltering in place or at home and we were unable to provide services, we also made the decision at that point to stop our breeding. We didn't know when we would be getting back to normalcy, and it didn't feel right to continue producing dogs when we weren't exactly sure what the future was going to look like. And so putting that process on hold also meant not only producing puppies, but it meant not adding new breeding stock moms and dads to sort of our program. And what that also meant is we saw a number that needed to be retired all around the same time. And so our organization, like many guide dog organizations, have seen a slower rebound on this front as we've come out of the pandemic. And then for us, there are always, organizational specific challenges that we saw, and, lower conception rates, smaller litter sizes than we were typically seeing. And so we've really been focused on our breeding program and bringing that back for a long-term sustainable program to get to the numbers that we need, but also making sure that we're breeding dogs that are right for this new, very challenging environment that we ask our guide dogs to work in. You think about that. It's an extremely challenging environment that they're navigating, and one that only becomes more complicated with, roundabouts and pet dogs and fake service dogs and all the others. So we're really asking our team to train dogs for really, really challenging environments.
Yeah. So what are some of the most important steps to start addressing, that problem to help the wait list down the line?
Yeah. So the good news is that the process has already begun. We are partnering with the International Working Dog Registry, and I'll refer to that as IWDR. And our breeding team and vet team, everybody's been hard at work at this. And I'll say certainly before I moved into this role. And so we're uploading all of our data into IWDR so that we can start using estimated breeding values, or EBVs, in making our breeding decisions so that we can make the best decisions for which dogs to match together, which should really start to immediately address some of those, I'll say, biological challenges that we see in the program. And of course, if we're also making selections, and we're talking in these estimated breeding values, it's not only medical traits of our dogs, but it's also behavioral. So there are some things like the ability to navigate stairs the way we need our guide dogs to, that is actually a heritable trait. And so if we can be tracking the behaviors of our dogs and then also taking their behaviors and their medical background into consideration as we're determining who to match together, we really are looking at producing not only more dogs, but the highest quality dog, because the goal isn't to just produce a higher number of dogs. It's to produce the right number of dogs that can be successful to do the work. And the sooner that we can recover, the sooner that we'll be able to get back to what I think our goal would be is more typically, 150 to 175 guide dog teams per year versus what we're looking at this next year, which is really close to around 100.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of thought and data and all of that goes into producing a puppy. I mean,
the
that goes way over my head.
Yeah. Well, just thinking about, right, like we're trying to produce the perfect guide dog, but we know the perfect guide dog is different for every individual. So that challenge in itself is crazy, but it's exciting to have all these new kind of supports, if you will, or different metrics to follow to be able to successfully do that. And one of the things that also is part of the wait list is the matching process. So that is a huge problem, or not a huge problem. It's just a huge piece of it is finding that perfect guide dog for each person. So do you mind explaining a little bit about what goes into the matching process and how that works for clients?
Sure. And of course, right, this is just as every dog is unique, so is every individual unique. And so finding the right dog for the right person, taking into consideration what is their lifestyle? Where are they traveling? Are they in a busy environment? Are they in a more rural environment? What are the paths that they're taking each day, and what does the environment look like? And again, I'll speak to the change in environment. I was speaking with a client recently who told me that in previous years, she would pass on her commute, her 30-minute walk to work, she'd pass somewhere around 5 dogs along the way. Now she can fully expect to pass anywhere 20 to 30 dogs on her commute to work. And we saw that proliferation during the pandemic. Many people, not only did they adopt dogs or bring dogs into their household, but they really got used to taking their dogs with them everywhere that they went. And that provides just another more complicated challenge. And so as we're looking at matching dogs and individuals, it really is looking not only at that individual and their gait and how quickly they walk, but also that environment that they'll be navigating. And that's what why it may be a shorter wait for one individual and a longer wait for another. And then, of course, clients have preferences. Timothy, I don't know if you were adamant about a black Labrador retriever. But, some people are, if they're waiting for, let's say, a female golden, that is going to be a longer wait. And so we do talk to our clients too. And there are people who are willing that we say, you may have this preference, but we've actually found the right dog for you. What do you think? And many times we see individuals are willing to consider that, knowing that our team really has a very unique skill in being able to find that right match. But it's complicated. And of course, if you have fewer dogs to choose from, then you have fewer matches that you can make.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give a client that's facing maybe a year without a dog? I mean, wouldn't it be a perfect time to come back for a refresher course for O&Ms? What advice would you give?
Well, Timothy, I know that wasn't directed to me, but I love every opportunity I can to hop in and talk about it. But obviously, yes, if O&M is appropriate, if they feel like they could benefit from additional orientation mobility, building those cane skills, perfecting routes, even being confident in those things, those are great goals to have and that we can certainly work on in the O&M program. But other things, just like building stamina, right? Like making sure that people are getting out there and being physical and walking in all different types of days and weather and all of that to make sure they're feeling good. Balance concerns, if anybody's having an issue with balance or gait, go see a physical therapist, maybe check in with your doctor to work on any strategies or exercises that you can be doing. We always talk about audiology, hearing, if you're noticing that maybe things are sounding a little different in one side or traffic doesn't sound the way it used to, checking in with that professional, an audiologist. So kind of doing that legwork ahead of time, but of course, establishing those routes, making sure that you're really comfortable and confident with the areas and environments in which you're going to be traveling with a guide dog, so that when you do hopefully get that match, get that exciting call, come to class, get your guide dog, when you go back home, you're ready and confident to work in those areas. Because, we've talked about the myths out there. I wish it was great that you just got a dog, you got Glacier, and you're like, all right, Glacier, take me home. And then that was it. But we know it doesn't work that way. And you have to support the dog and the dog supports you. It's such a team effort. So that's my little, I'll get off my high horse now and talk about it. I could go all day, obviously. Yeah. But Timothy, I am curious too. you have a lot of relationships with clients, both new and who are graduates. What are the conversations out there? Do you think people are understanding, this kind of breeding challenge that we are having along with other organizations?
Yeah, I think everybody realized COVID just did a lot of damage. And so, I mean, it is a shock when you're hearing a year. We got to wait through this until we get to the other side. We're not through it yet, but we're getting closer every day. And we should all realize that. So we're just going to go through this little struggle. But yeah, it's impacted people out there. I know a couple of people right now has been waiting for almost 9-10 months now. Yeah. But you know what? It's worth it if you get the dog that's right for you. So be patient. We don't want to give you a dog that's not going to work out. It may work out for somebody else, but it may not work out for you. So just be patient till we find that right, perfect dog.
Absolutely. And talk to your peers. I think that's always important to have that kind of support system and network. We do have the Facebook alumni page that's really great about tips and tricks or things to do in that downtime, or how to prep your home or things like that. So there's always something. And of course, we're always happy to help. So if you can call us for anything or we can do anything to help support, we're available. But Dani, I want to thank you for finally joining us. I know actually she has been ready and willing to be on the podcast, and it's been on Christina and I. I know.
I've been begging.
The one day we were supposed to have her on, I got sick.
Yes.
So.
And it didn't feel right joining the show without the entire cast here.
Right.
Because like I said, as your very first fan, I needed to be here with all of you.
Yes.
And we've been doing this for 3 years. Thank you, Dani.
I know. Yeah. And we should thank Dani, because Dani really was helping, and you really helped start this and make it a realistic podcast. I remember touring the studio here that first time. It was very exciting.
Yes.
Dani was with us. And then we talked about it a couple different times. But when Christina, Timothy, and I recorded just a random episode on Zoom, Dani was our first listener. And so we sent that to her, and she gave us great feedback, which has helped us form really what we have now as the podcast and the Taking the Lead. So thank you to you. And also we have a board member who has been very supportive of this and behind the scenes, and just very encouraging and so optimistic, and really helped us get the ball running there too. So
yes, we are so thankful.
Yes. And thank you for being here today and taking time out of this crazy list of challenges you have coming.
Well, thank you. Like I said, we've got all the right people. We will get through all of it, but we appreciate everybody working together as we're trying to make more people unstoppable.
Absolutely. And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to the Taking the Lead podcast. I'm Leslie Hoskins with hosts Timothy Cunio and Christina Hebner. We hope you enjoyed learning about our new Chief Impact Officer, Dani Landolt. Please join us next time as we continue to dive into the world of blindness.
And if you'd like to learn more about applying to our free services at LeaderDog, you can head to leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332. And don't forget, you can reach us at takingthelead@leaderdog.org with any questions or ideas. If you like today's podcast, make sure to hit subscribe and check us out wherever podcasts stream.